Morning, it's time for another of my commute videos. I like my commute, it's a chance to think, and I've got much to think about in middle age. First of all, my businesses, the Smallest Cog, the state of play there. DRIVETRIBE, the state of play there. Also, I recently started working with my daughter Izzy, and that's thrown up some things to think about too. So, much to think about whilst driving. Obviously, first thing to think about on my commute is how far I've fallen. The last couple of times I've done these videos, I've had over 700 horsepower at my disposal. Today, I'm gonna have to make do with 640. I mean, yeah, it's in a Porsche 911 Turbo S Cabriolet, but I don't know, am I gonna make it? There is a hill. Could get stuck. Actually, I love this car. It is mine. You might have seen it before. It's shamelessly my midlife crisis car. I've loved 911s all my life. Always been rude about four-wheel drive, turbo and cabriolet. This does all of those things, but it brings the pantomime, a bit of supercar theatre that's sometimes lacking in a 911, but it's still a 911, so it works. Turning my mind to where I'm going, the Smallest Cog, the workshop. Well, we're in year 3, and I have learned it's not easy running a workshop. Just to be clear, I never technically wanted to be a workshop manager. I wanted to own a workshop. I have learned that managing and running one is quite a task. Every car's different. Every job's different. You never know the scale. Is it big? Is it small? Is it going to start as a small job and then expand? If you already run a workshop, you know everything I'm saying. I'm learning it. But we're still here. We're getting there. I've got a manager, Jamie, in. That's going to bring some cultural changes, which might be a shock to us all. Do I want it to work? Yeah. Is it going to? Hopefully. We've had some amazing jobs in this year. Working on Phil Marshall Montgomery's staff car, Rolls-Royce. Taking it to the Normandy 80th services. The Lancia that we did for the lady whose husband had died. I've had lots of lessons that have reminded me how much these things matter. Look what I was going on about my Porsche. It's my midlife crisis, made manifest. Yes, it's a ton of money, and yes, I'm very, very, very privileged and lucky to be able to afford it, but at whatever level, cars are used for so much more than simply getting to school, work and the shops. Today's work at the workshop will be about, what have we got in? A couple of bond bugs that have got to be finished for lovely Mac. We've still got a Maserati Indian that we've got to finish. That job got buried a little bit. He's been incredibly generous, the customer, and incredibly patient, but we've got to get it done. I've also got a bike magazine coming in to photograph me riding a motorcycle. I agreed to do it because it's an excuse to get out of the workshop and go ride a motorbike for an hour. Another exciting development for the Smallest Cog, having initially shelved our racing team efforts because of the immense cost, I realised they do have a huge motivational value. It is such a laugh. So I've stirred up some proper sponsorship, and thank you to all our sponsors. I never thought I'd get to say that. So we are going racing again, and there's been a slight driver change. Abby's been wonderful for us, but she is a pro driver, and obviously that represents a cost. So to bring costs down and to bring, I suppose, the sense of us doing our own thing up, I've stepped in as the second driver. I am still very much the second driver. Anthony's done a fair bit more racing than me, so he's still quicker than me, which is annoying, but that's the game, and I'm absolutely loving it. So we're continuing our racing program. We've developed the car further, saved some weight out of it, up the power. We've been running it on synthetic fuel, P1, and fantastically enough, Patrick Blakeney-Edwards, who was giving the car a last-minute tune-up for us, reports he's getting about 10 horsepower more out of it on that fuel, which gives us also the satisfaction of knowing that when we're going out playing our silly games and having a good time at the weekends, we are not burning any oil. There's no fossil fuel used in that car. Other things to think about on my commute to work, well, my work is broader than the workshop, so DRIVETRIBE. We recently had our second big live event at the Haynes Museum, which was a stunning day. It was fabulous. And it is a joy to step out of a digital world and into the real world and actually stand face to face and see each other and see the cars in the metal for real. And while we were at Haynes, I had a chance to have a proper look around our new exhibition in their museum, and that again was brilliant, because in this digital universe, it's really important sometimes to make things real and physical in the analog world. And to see the cars there, the display's going to roll and change. At the moment, we've got Oliver, certain little yellow Opel Kadett. He's hiding in there. We've got the Chevrolet SSR, ridiculous convertible two-seater pickup that I drove. We've got Buick Riviera, 1971, boat tail. The Aston Martin I drove across Mauritania. We've got Mike's V10 engined MX-5. Well, it has a V10 in it, but literally resting in it, just to show that not everything we do works or gets finished. The thing I'm really enjoying about DRIVETRIBE is the way we're growing. I mean, we're growing behind the scenes because we're managing live events, and we are going to do more. If you were at the last one, thanks for coming. See you at the next one. We're also growing on camera. We've added to our team. There's me and there's Mike, obviously. We'll always be here, but this year we've added Ben Collins, whose work I'm loving. I need to get some lessons with him to improve my race driving, urgently. Also, Izzy. She's shameless about not always knowing everything, but wanting to discover it on screen. Or tell us she's not bothered on screen. And some people aren't. That's great. It's still the motoring world. And I think as the motoring world is changing, as cars are changing, so car enthusiasm is changing. For some people now, maybe for a new generation, it's not about being a nerd and a geek in the way I always was, and being able to recognise a car from a single headlamp. It's about embracing what a car does for you in terms of freedom, exhilaration. And that's where Izzy is sitting. The other day, after we'd done some filming and worked on our podcast together, she turned to me and said, "Daddy, yeah, what you do, yeah, is work, isn't it?" I nearly wept. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's brilliant fun. We love it. But it's work. And we're working on a podcast together looking at sort of, I suppose you could say it falls into the male mental health category. It started because I thought, well, I'm a 54-year-old bloke and I've no idea how to be a 54-year-old bloke in the modern world. So I want to find out. And as I was working on setting that up, and Izzy stepped in to do some production work on it, we realised having her in the studio with me when I record it is really valuable, because it stops it being an echo chamber of the thoughts of middle-aged men, because she's not afraid to step in. Her appraisal of working with me...
He's all right. He's good. I mean, he's a professional sometimes.
Okay, I'll take that. That's high praise from a 23-year-old daughter. Gives you a new look at the work that you do, and I've done this for 36 years. That's a lifetime. Last year I went to the Formula One GP at Silverstone with Izzy. She came as my guest at one of the teams. She loved it. She's obsessed with Formula One. And I was saying to her, well, Iz, if you really wanted to work in this world, I'm sure you'll find a way. There's huge range of jobs to be done across communication and media and all sorts. She was, well, maybe. I had nothing else to do with it. This year, I'm going to the Formula One at Silverstone as her guest at one of the teams. I'm also going to Goodwood Festival of Speed as her guest. And that's a fantastic feeling. That's a moment when I think, well, maybe my work is done. Another thing I always ponder on the way into work is my current car situation. Obviously, the 911 occupies quite a bit of my mind, but I've still got brain space to explore other aspects of my motoring world. I recently bought a... It's actually also the forefather of the car I learned to drive in and the first car I crashed, which was my dad's Astra estate. I'm taking it to the south of France in a few weeks. Just me. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to put golf clubs and a bicycle in the back of it. I'm going to spend 4 days doing it because, well, when it was new, it had 45 horsepower. That was 62 years ago. Let's assume some of those horses have got out. It's not quick, but I'm going to meander down through France over 4 or 5 days. Enjoy the other side of motoring, not this side, a more relaxed and quirky side. Other things to think about on my thoughtful commute. Well, outside of work, I still want to get good at golf, but I'm probably not going to live another 100 years, which is what it would take. But I'm going to persevere. I'm going to make more time to have more lessons. Doing that midlife thing. I want to acquire some more skills. I want to learn how to paint in watercolours. I'm actually secretly at home doing more model building. I'm about halfway through my 1/24 scale Spitfire. I'm loving it. Something happens when you get into your mid-50s of thinking, yeah, I know, that's naff, people are going to laugh. I don't care. So I can do the things I enjoy. For me. I also want to learn to speak a language. I also want to learn to be a better racing driver, or indeed just a racing driver. So entirely separate from the Smallest Cog and the Smallest Cog on TV. I think over the next year or so I'm going to build myself a little car and spend some time racing purely for fun. Feels to me sometimes as though the whole car business and car world is maturing. Maybe I'm seeing that because I'm maturing. But the move away entirely from internal combustion is proving not to be possible at the moment, leave alone palatable. It has to happen, but only in the sense we have to stop burning oil. We don't have to burn oil. There are synthetic fuels which will bridge the gap and help us achieve electrification, hydrogen combustion, hydrogen fuel cells, all of those myriad different means of moving us about. But as that's going on, the one thing that people are clinging on to is the joy that's to be won from owning and using a machine that can move you about and enable your life. And I see people celebrating that in different ways. And that's actually really exciting. Right, commute is done and now to work. If you want to know more of what goes on in there, you can watch my workshop show on Discovery Plus. The link is in the description below. To work.